Amy Turner, welcome to the United Podcast.
Thank you.
How are you? How has lockdown been? And also, a belated happy birthday.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Saturday. So, yeah, next year will be a big party, I think.
Nice. Did it feel like a proper lockdown birthday, or were you able to get out a bit?
I went over to my mum's and we had a little barbecue on the garden, which was nice. The weather stayed fine, which helped. But, yeah, it was nice to see the family and, nothing too crazy. But we had a few, because it was 4th of July, so we had a few American flags up and we did that sort of thing. So that was pretty nice.
All the bars opening on your birthday. That's a nice present.
No,
But you had a barbecue at home in typical lockdown style.
Everyone was saying, "Oh, you're going to go out," but I was like, "I'm not that desperate for a drink."
I know.
And I seen all the pictures of, how busy places were, and I was glad I stayed at home.
How has lockdown been for you?
Yeah, it's been all right. I think some days have obviously been better than others, which I think is probably the same for most people. Mm-hmm. I think initially when it happened, we didn't expect it to go on for as long as it has done, which I'm sure is the norm. Yeah, it was weird. I think, as footballers, we're sort of, like creatures of habit, and you're used to being told, where to be and what to do, every day, to a degree that's, micromanaged everything. But yeah, to not have a schedule or a plan or, so much, like unknown things about the league, whether we would return. And yeah, it was strange. I think that was probably the hardest part, not knowing what was happening. But yeah, I guess you just get through it, don't you? And it's crazy to think it's been so long. It doesn't feel like it's been 3 months since we trained. It was a lot shorter than that.
Well, one thing in regards to your lockdown we should talk about, in case people aren't aware of it, is of course at the very beginning you set yourself a challenge and you raised an awful lot of money for some incredible charities.
Yeah.
How was your cycling?
Yeah, it was tough. I think it was a lot harder than I expected. I've never done anything like that before. I think it ended up being just short of 400 kilometres. And we aimed to do that in under 24 hours. But we did it in 90-minute intervals, to replicate a football game. But yeah, it was really hard. I'd never, we go on the bike sometimes to do a bit of off-feet conditioning, but it's normally, 30 seconds on, 30 off, or you never normally sat on it for longer than an hour. So yeah, I think we were on it for 6 hours in total.
That'd have been painful, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I couldn't sit down.
Like John Wayne getting off that after an hour and a half paddling. Jesus.
I love that you've heard a story about, I raised some money charity, but your first thought is, how would my arse feel after that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was...
Bit of Sudocrem all over. Chapped and everything.
Too much information.
Well, you did it anyway.
I know, yeah.
How much money did you raise?
We raised just over 4,000. So we had 4 different charities, so each charity got £1,000.
1,000 each.
Yeah, which I think when we set out, we expected to. I think the target was 1,000 in total. But yeah, it was crazy. So many people got behind us, and the girls at United helped me out, and it was amazing. And I know that money's been so useful for those charities, and we did it for 2 food banks.
What were the charities?
So it was 2 food banks. They were really struggling. I mean, I'm sure they still are really struggling. A lot more people are dependent on food banks at the moment, unfortunately, and they were seeing real shortages. And so they were saying, like, they don't normally get monetary donations. They normally just get food. So they was like, "That's really good. We can sort out what we need to buy and what things we're missing." Yeah, and the other 2 was a domestic abuse charity based in Sheffield, my hometown. They'd seen a real increase in calls, and they were experiencing higher demands, unfortunately, with lockdown and people sort of trapped in the houses and stuff. and a mental health charity, which was also, very much in need in these times. So yeah, we were really glad we could help in a small way, but hopefully it made
absolutely.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Well done.
Yeah, well done indeed. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
have the legs recovered now?
Yeah. Well, when we did it, I don't know if we found out the season was off, or I can't remember, but we had some sort of a break because we've been training non-stop. So our S&C coach said, right, you've got a 2-week break. So we did it in that time. And then I get a text from the S&C coach saying, like, when I said you could go on a bike, I didn't mean that. So she was panicking a little bit. So
it's just as well lockdown has continued for you. No. You would have been like a broken woman going back after that.
I think we did it on the Friday, and then it was like debatable whether we would go back the following week. I was thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to move if we end up.
How obviously you said you were in a little bit of limbo, waiting to see whether the league was going to be called off or not. How did you feel when you knew that it would be?
Yeah, disappointed. I think we had some games that we were looking forward to, and we'd just come off the back of beating Everton. I think that was the last game, and we felt like we were back to ourselves a little bit more, and in that respect we were disappointed, but I think we expected it, and I think it was the right decision. I don't think the league could have continued, and it to be in a safe environment for everybody, and I think people's health was probably the most important thing, and we understood the reasons why, but I think it made us more determined really to kick on this year.
Okay, right, let's go back to the very beginning then. On all of these podcasts, we go back and we talk about people's childhoods and how they got to the point that they're at right now. And we have had so many requests to have people from the women's team on, and I'm delighted that you're the first one that we've got and that we're doing it. So tell us about you. You grew up in Sheffield. Your sister obviously plays for Barnsley. So did you have like a competitive relationship when you were growing up?
Not really. Strangely, she didn't start playing until she was a bit older. Like she was very much the girly girl, into dolls and princess stuff like that. And yeah, I was unashamedly the tomboy of the two of us. And she only started playing really because I started playing when I was really young. As far back as I remember really. And she was never interested at first, and then she started getting dragged along to all my games, and just picked it up herself really. And we've always had, we've been friends, best friends since being young, and we've never really competed with each other. She's sort of just, I feel like maybe looked up to me a little bit, and and she, I say we're not that competitive, but maybe we are. I just didn't realise, but yeah, she's doing great things. She's had a up and down sort of career. She's probably more focused on her work and stuff now, but she still enjoys it, and she still gets to some of my games when she can. I watch her. We sort of take it in turns if we've got a weekend off. But we're quite similar. Weirdly, we're pretty much the same player, and I don't know how. We both played centre half. Even from being younger, we were just just like a tough, aggressive centre half, and I don't know where that came from. But
where was your footballing influence from? Where did the love come from?
Yeah, my granddad played. He played. I think he captained, World War team in World War II, and he played in the back four. And then my dad played as well. But I don't know. I just remember just loving it from being really young. My uncle took me to a Blades game when I was tiny, and I just loved it. And then since then, I just fell in love with the game, and I've never known anything different really.
Mm-hmm. Did you used to always? Go on. I was going to say, did you used to stick your sister in goal then and pelt balls at her?
Yeah, I did. I tried, but she would. She'd be like doing cartwheels and stuff in the goal.
Maybe that was her technique.
Yeah.
That'd be a bit like Kez.
Yeah.
Swinging up the crossbar.
Yeah. She didn't used to take it as serious as I did, and I used to.
So what age did you actually start playing?
I think I was 7 or 8. Played for a boys team up until I was about 12.
Right.
11,
were you
12.
the only girl in that team?
Yeah, I think I was the only girl in the league. Which was it. Some parts of it I loved because the boys would be a lot, a bit rougher, and that was what I wanted at that time. I used to get stuck in myself, which I enjoyed. But there was always like, oh my God, there's a girl on the team. You turn up to a match and they'd be like, oh, look over there, there's a girl, and that wouldn't even be the kids. That'd be like the parents and the staff and stuff. So it was like, like an anomaly back then. But then my sister went through the same thing, so she started on a boys team, and so we had that sort of shared experience. But it was nice to get on a girls team. It was different. It was less, less aggressive and stuff. But it was,
You might have to have bullied them then, wouldn't you? Played against all the lads and then kicking 10 bells of crap out of them, and then go to the girls and
I remember because I was a massive Sheffield United fan, and I went on they do like soccer camps, and the closest one was a Chef Wednesday camp, and I was tiny then. I think I was only about 8 years old, and it was like all ages. And I was the only girl, and I turned up in a Sheffield United kit as well, just to make myself. And I was like, and like my dad was shouting on the side. I was like, get stuck in against like 15-year-old lads, and I just pick everyone.
I suppose when you first joined your first girls' team, you were all coming together, but you'd probably always all had the same thing in common, that you played in leagues before where you maybe were the only girls.
Yeah, and I think that was the first age group that Wednesday set up for that girls' team. So we were all coming together, having experienced, I think some people have positive experiences playing in boys' teams, but the majority are probably not so positive. So it was nice. We were all in the same boat, and it was like it was weird because you suddenly then had like 10 new best friends, and from different parts of the area, because there weren't many girls teams, so people would travel from Chesterfield and Doncaster and stuff like that to come and play. So it was nice, and some of those girls I still speak to now, which is really nice.
Did you have any other interests when you were growing up, or was it always just football?
A bit of a weird one, but I used to do a bit of skateboarding and rollerblading when I was younger. I was terrible, to be honest. I wasn't very good. I was always getting hurt, and I'd see things on the TV, Tony Hawk's and stuff, and I'd try and do that on the in the skate parks, and I think it was a bit above my capabilities.
Hey, it happened to all of us. I broke my arm because I thought I could skate.
I know. I wanted to be that like skater girl, like Avril Lavigne vibes.
That's exactly who I was thinking of. With the chains.
I used to look, I'd have like the baggy jeans and wallet on a chain and bit of a goth look, but I was just I wasn't.
I feel like it was a lifestyle at that point more than actually being an athlete in terms of skating. That was my view of it.
Yeah, exactly. And the music.
It's fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we looked cool. It was fine. Yeah. We knew what we were doing.
I remember my mum was telling me actually at the weekend when it was my birthday, it was like reminiscing on old birthdays. And one year she took me to this skate park in Sheffield called The House for my birthday. But the rule was like, your sister's got to go with you. And I was like, like she's never skated. She had a pair of like Barbie blades with the stopper on the front. And I was like, and I was like fully kitted out in like, the top gear and stuff. And she had like a helmet, elbow pads on, like the stuff on her hands, knee pads. And I was like, you are like, I was proper kicking off. I was like, what are they going to think when she turns up? Like holding on to the edges, and I'm like trying to do all my stunts and that. But and she was like, I didn't even want to come anyway.
All the gear, no idea.
Yeah, we was having a good laugh about that at the weekend. I was just, like at that age as well, you're just like mortified, aren't you, by anything slightly embarrassing, and that was like the pinnacle. But yeah.
Amy, when you were growing up, obviously you might not have ever had it in your aspirations to play professionally. What age did you start to think, I might have to make the move to America? Or what was your thinking at the time?
Yeah, I don't remember what age I was, but I just always had an idea that if I wanted to make it pro, I would have to go to America. And I think that was the thoughts of a lot of, people my age at that time. There were no professionals in England playing football. You didn't really have access to go and watch much women's football. Mm-hmm. I watched a couple of England games and stuff when they came locally, but in terms of club football, I didn't. Nobody really at that time thought it was possible. So ever since I remember telling my family, as soon as I'm old enough, I'm going to America. I'm going to do the Bend It Like Beckham dream, the film. And it was just always, I don't know, it just always seemed like that was always going to happen, no matter what else happened. I was always set to go, really.
What was that like, leaving Sheffield to go to America?
Yeah, it was strange. I'd never really left. I grew up in Sheffield, big, but I lived probably quite a sheltered life, and I'd never been to America. And I set off to go to New York at 17, and it was mad. It was crazy. And even trying to, I'd never been to London other than to get my visa, to go to America. And even London, I thought, this place is huge. Ended up in America, and I didn't know anyone. I'd never met the coach before. And, I was quite a shy kid as well. So I think I surprised, a lot of my friends and family by just going on my own and just getting it done. But it was an amazing experience.
How did it all come about that you moved over? And Maisie, is that your beer machine?
That's not. That is actually, I'm having a gate fitted at the side of the house. So if you hear any rumblings or out like that, then
good timing.
It's the gate. Okay, nice. I'm glad we clarified what that is.
Yeah, I do apologise.
How did you move to America come about? What happened?
So I was playing for Doncaster Bells at the time, and we played in a Conti Cup final type thing against Arsenal. We lost terribly, but it was on, I think it was on ESPN at the time, and which was streamed in America. And then the coach just seen me play. He was from Barnsley actually, which was a bit weird. And then he just asked me if I wanted to come over. And I didn't even look at any of the unis or any of the teams. I just said yeah. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know where it was in America. I just agreed. I just said yeah, I'll come. Well, whatever.
17 though, that's so young. Lots of people talk about moving across the water, or I hear a lot of people from Northern Ireland, and that's such a big deal. But moving to New York, that is huge. It's not just an hour plane's journey home, is it?
No, I don't think it actually sunk in what I was doing.
Maybe the naivety was a good thing.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think it were until I came home that I realised, how big it was. If I'd have thought about it a bit more, I probably maybe would have been a little bit more scared. But I just did it, I suppose. And I'm so glad I did. I met some amazing people, and it's what I needed at the time. I wasn't very big on my fitness really when I was over here. And that was the only chance I could get playing, training every day. And we used to play on a Friday and Sunday every week. There was a big focus on, being physically fit and, getting in the gym. And that was, they were probably better at that side of it than they were technically good over there. particularly in the women's game. So yeah, it's definitely what I needed.
And you had a scholarship, right? So what did you have? Presumably you had to study at the same time and things.
Yeah. So I studied exercise physiology, but it's different to uni over here. So you have to do a lot of, like distribution credits. So you do classes that aren't necessarily to do with your degree, which was weird. That was the weirdest part, actually, because I did classes like theatre appreciation and like philosophy classes, and just having moved from Sheffield, I wasn't really in tune with all these alternative subjects. So I was telling my family, and they just straight over.
So that you studied there for 3 years, though? That was the period of time you were there?
Yeah, it was 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, so I didn't finish my studies. I had a few things going off back home, family stuff. And it was when the WSL was starting up, so the first year of the WSL. And my old coach from Doncaster got back in touch. And I don't know, it just, the two things together, I just thought, I wanted to get back to England eventually. I wanted to play for England one day. And I don't know, I was sold that the league was going to be like this amazing thing. It was going to be pro. Everyone was training every day. You'd get paid. And it just, I went back, but it didn't quite work out the way that I had planned. But I think, I don't regret coming home at that point. I think it happened for a reason and stuff. So yeah.
Before we move on to Doncaster, sorry, Helen. Before we move on to Doncaster, did you adapt and regularly call it soccer?
Yeah, I had to. You don't have any other choice. You say football and they think you're trying to be a quarterback or like that.
How quickly did that change when you moved back again?
Yes, I wouldn't dare say soccer at my grandma's house.
Oh, here we go, Maisie's gate. Amy, what was the football like over there? What were the crowds like? How different was it?
Yeah, it was good. I think so. My second year, I think we went 19 games unbeaten, which was the school record at the time. So that year was crazy because you'd have all, the other sports teams who would come and support, you'd support each other and stuff. Mm-hmm. And at that time, like, we were like the team to watch, because we were like, you'd go 5 games unbeaten and then it'd be 10, and the excitement would be building up. And yeah, so that was cool. And we actually got to 19, which was great. I think they did some kind of poll the other day about which was the best team, and it was us versus another team that had won something. And I posted it on my social media, and then all the United fans were voting for my team, and we ended up winning by loads.
So you returned to Doncaster Rovers, and obviously you just said maybe it wasn't quite what you were sold. And then after a few appearances, you then got released. That must have been really tough.
Yeah, it was. It was unexpected. It was a little bit out of nowhere, and they said the reasoning was because America had softened me up. They said, which I thought was a little bit harsh. But I had to adapt my game when I went over there. It wasn't as physical. But I was, when I played in America, they developed this philosophy that was about, front foot defending. Obviously I know they didn't develop it, but they instilled it, I suppose. And everything was on the front foot, and being aggressive and winning it back before the forward even has a chance to set themselves. And I really bought into that way of style of playing, and I could get away with it a lot more over there because I was playing with girls, my own age, and I was relatively strong compared to the other girls. And I came back and tried to do it over here with, in a women's league, and the players over here are smarter. We play against Arsenal and Kelly Smith, she knows you're coming. She'd just roll you the other way and you wouldn't even have chance. And so certain aspects, I think, I didn't probably adapt to coming back over here, and but I don't think I was given that chance really, and I wasn't coached back into this style of playing. It was sort of, you're not good enough. You won't ever be good enough is what they actually said.
Wow.
Yeah, which was maybe he was having a bad day that day, but yeah. And
have you seen that coach since?
Yeah, I have. I don't have any I don't know. I don't have any ill
grudges,
or anything. But I don't think he realised the impact that it had, because I said to him, because I'd seen him after I'd made one of my first England appearances. And I said, I've made an, because he was talking to me about some other player that had played for younger age groups. I said, that's funny. I've just made a senior appearance. And he was like, have you? All right, yeah, that's good. And I just thought, not so I'm just going to leave that.
Yes, enough just to tell him that, just so that he knows.
No, I am.
Leave him hanging.
Why would you even need to say, if you're just saying to someone, unfortunately, it's not going to work out with us, why would you feel the need to add, you're never going to make it?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
I think your style of football would suit a lower league. And I was just like, but then at that time, if someone had said that to me now, well, hopefully, in case he doesn't say that to me now, but I feel like I'm in a position now to be like, you know what, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yeah.
I believe I'm good enough, and that would give me that extra motivation. But then I just believed it, I suppose. I just thought, right, well, he's the manager. He knows what he's talking about. I must not be able to, I must not be good enough. And, maybe I just have to accept it, which was a silly thing to think. But, I don't think I had the confidence and I suppose the mental toughness to be able to get
through that. What did your grandma say? It seems that your grandma seems a bit of an hard nut, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's a first on the podcast that Maisie has called someone's grandma a hard nut.
She used to run Sheffield.
She is. She's Bob Sheffield. But I'd probably be a bit upset about it. And she'd be like, come on, Amy, what are you crying about? Get on with it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I think regular listeners might notice his parallels because we spoke to Ashley Young, and when he was at Watford's academy, they told him the same thing.
Oh, really?
They just said, you're too small. You're never going to do it. And he did all right, didn't he?
Well, yeah, exactly. And I suppose it happens, it probably happens a lot more in the men's game with the amount of players, wanting to make it. And, they get told probably a lot more often that, it's not going to happen. But yeah, it wasn't a nice thing to hear, but then I'd like to think, it's still a part of my motivation. And
definitely.
Still proving.
And you did prove him wrong whenever you became a full-time pro. That was at Lincoln Ladies, but they were rebranded as Notts County.
So I dropped down a few. I stopped playing a little bit when I started playing for Sheffield FC while I was still finishing off my uni. I was doing a teaching degree, but I wasn't really playing. I just, at that time I thought, right, I'm just going to be a teacher. I'll forget about football for now, and it wasn't meant to be, sort of thing. And then, and then the Lincoln coach rang me and asked me to come to a session. And at first, I said no. I said, no, I'm not bothered. And then told my mum, and she told me to get back on the phone and say, you go in, sort of thing. So I got the train over.
How old was this? Sorry, Amy. How old were you here?
I think I was 22, I think.
Okay.
I remember because I did have a car, and then because it was my birthday, 4th of July, I sold my car, went back to America for 4th of July just to see my friends, and came back, and then realised I then had to get the train everywhere, which
no car to get to Lincoln.
Yeah, so it was like a 2-hour train from Sheffield, and then Casey actually picked me up from, which is a strange story, because that's when our paths, I suppose, first crossed. because I couldn't get from the station, and the manager said, "Oh, player's picking you up," and it was Casey. And I was so scared, to be honest. She was a very scary person. And she still is a little bit, I suppose.
Scary
like
in
now
that
is when
she was
she
an
should be
idol,
scary.
or scary? What do you mean by that? Whenever you were younger, I mean.
Yeah, then she was, the England captain, and I'd seen her play, even from being younger. She played my position and stuff as well, and yeah, and she's just, I don't know, she had an aura about her, I suppose, and she was really nice. I mean, she was lovely. Like, she could probably tell I was a little bit nervous and stuff. Yeah, it was weird that was, to where we are now. It was It was strange. I don't know if she'd appreciate me calling her scary, actually.
Intimidated by her brilliance, really, is what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So what was your time like there?
Yeah, so it was good. I think I went on a sort of a trial basis, and did all right. And they signed me, and I played pretty much, I started pretty much every game. And it felt good to be back playing at that level. I was still doing my teaching and stuff alongside it for a couple of years before I went full time. And then, we went across to Notts County, and the manager took me with him. And then I got my England call up and stuff, and everything seemed to happen at once. So I got a call up. I went pro. I then quit my teaching job because it didn't feel right. I couldn't give 100% to teaching, which wasn't fair probably on the kids. And then I wasn't being true to myself by not giving 100% to football either. And I felt like that opportunity, I'd waited so long for that. I couldn't afford to not give it everything. And then I got injured, and all the plans sort of seemed to fall away a little bit.
What was that like, getting your England call up? Obviously, that's the pinnacle of everybody's career.
Yeah, it was. Was
it out of the blue, or was you expecting it? Did you hear any rumours?
Yeah, I'd never been involved in the younger age groups. I think the theme is to go through the age groups and make it to seniors. And it wasn't until the 23s, my manager, he didn't have a way with words either, to be honest. He said, look, there's no other defenders. Few defenders have dropped out. There's literally no one else. So I've put your name forward to go to this 23s camp in La Manga. And I was like, all right, well, I mean, you could have told me I was first choice.
Like you would have believed him.
Yeah. I was like, do you know what, I'll take it. And I went there. Sort of probably, people probably weren't expecting too much, and I feel like I did well. And I played a couple of times for the 23s, captained the 23s. And then,
did you see much difference in the levels
between 23s
the
and
step up going up to international level?
Yeah, definitely. There was, I think, my first few games, I think 23s we played Japan, Germany, like two completely different teams.
Yeah.
Especially
Jesus.
All sorts going on this morning.
I thought my drilling were bad.
Betsy, no. Sorry. I didn't think she would do that. She's being fast as they let me show you.
Amazing.
You would think it would be like a massive Rockwell or something, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
A miniature cockapoo. She's a nightmare. Like, if anyone knocks at the door or she hears something outside, she just goes mental like that.
Brilliant. I have to keep that in with my drilling.
I don't look back. But yeah, the step up was huge, especially to the seniors. I think one of the first game I started, I came off after 60 minutes, and I was thinking, oh, surely I've played most of the game here, like I'm shattered, like. And they're like, no, it's 60 minutes. And I thought, oh God, this is sort of the level now I need to get up to. but yeah, I needed to go full time to be able to compete at that level. But yeah, it was a very proud moment for my family, and it's something that will stay with me, for the rest of my career, really.
Definitely.
You mentioned there, Amy, sorry, Sam, that you got an injury that was a knee injury. Yeah. How bad was that, and how much did that set you back?
So the injury itself wasn't that bad, but I think the way the club, treated it made it into something, really like a career-threatening injury sort of thing. I think maybe, the team Notts County at the time, we didn't have the resources that, other teams had. We didn't have a full-time physio. We didn't have an understanding of the importance of, the medical side of it, which is obviously massive. So I got injured, and my knee, it was just a tackling training. It was nothing crazy. My knee swelled up, but we had a small squad at the time. They needed me to play, and they kept taping me up, sending me out. And my knee was just constantly swelling, and, it was collapsing. It was giving way. I was, in quite a lot of pain with it. And then I stopped playing for a little bit, and then England got involved and were like, what's happening? So they sent me for a scan. And then, they sent me for an operation pretty much straight away. They said, I think it was part of my it's like a chondral defect or something. So part of the bone had died inside because of the constant, the constant pressure of it. The cartilage had worn away, so it was just bone for so long. Yeah, so and then it turned into, I think if I'd have rehabbed it, I'm saying this like hindsight's obviously a great thing, but I think if I'd have probably rehabbed it better at the time, I probably wouldn't have got to that point. But I didn't know back then. I just trusted in the medical staff and believed that it would be all right. But yeah, it wasn't. And
how long were you eventually out for?
Well, I think I was out for about, it was over 12 months initially. And then I came back to playing, and something wasn't right. So I had a second op. So it was nearly 2 years, I think, from getting injured to actually playing again. So yeah, it was something that, if I was looked after better, I think at the start it wouldn't have been such a long time out, to be honest. But then, I am a firm believer in things, happening for a reason. And, now it's touch wood, I forget about it, to be honest. When you sent the questions through about my injury, I had to jot some stuff down because I couldn't actually remember, what it felt like, how it happened. Betsy, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay, Betsy, you can join.
Yeah, we haven't had enough dogs.
This is actually our first dog on the podcast.
So
it's our first dog on the podcast.
You're famous for being naughty.
I like it.
Yeah, so because I don't think about it anymore, which is obviously a good thing. I had to try and remember stuff that had happened. But yeah, it was a hard time. Definitely, yeah.
Well, working slightly in reverse, obviously that would have been very difficult. But I guess just before that, you played in the first Women's FA Cup final at Wembley, which must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it was amazing, and we had quite a good following at Notts. Quite a loyal fan base, and they all made the trip down. We played Chelsea on the day, and it was an amazing experience. And yeah, we didn't get the win. I think we lost 1-0 in the end, but such a great day to be a part of. And the first one as well. I think it was around 30,000 fans there, which at the time was massive for the women's game. It was weird. It's the first time, I remember in the warm-up, normally you can hear everything. You can speak to someone at the other side of the pitch because, there's not that many people there, and, it's not as loud. And at that time, you couldn't hear anything. And we all thought, and that was probably the same for most of the girls. And we thought, like, this is going to be a new thing that we're going to have to adapt to in the game, that we can't actually hear much.
Brilliant.
Yeah, which was it was weird because we used to get a few fans, but it was nothing anywhere near that. But yeah, it was a great day. It would have been better, obviously, but
yeah. Your time at Notts County seems like it was just full of extreme sort of highs and lows, because you played in the FA Cup final, you were nominated for the PFA Women's Young Player of the Year, you had your knee injury, and then presumably, from your perspective, out of nowhere, the club was just shut down.
Yeah, that was strange. I remember at the time I was in London seeing my surgeon, just as a general meeting, really. And the night before, the manager sent out a message in the group saying we've got a last minute meeting. And we all thought it would be about the game because we were due to play Arsenal the day after. So we thought, just wants to go through some set pieces or something like that. And then I remember coming out of the surgery and I had so many messages on my phone, and I looked on Twitter first because, people were tweeting me and stuff. And then that's where I seen it, that Notts County liquidisation or something. And I was thinking, it came as a massive shock. And those weeks that came after that were such a, surreal time for everyone, not knowing what was happening. We didn't really have much contact, people, media and stuff were getting in touch to ask us questions. And I think it got released to the media before it got released to the players, so they knew a little bit before. But yeah, it was a scary time. I think I was only about a few months into my, long-term rehab. So I initially thought, I've got no chance, no one's going to want to sign me. Teams had already planned their budgets for the season. So they weren't looking on to take on new players and stuff. So yeah, I was surprised and very grateful that Liverpool came in for me pretty much straight away, to be honest. I think they wanted to sign me a couple of seasons before. So yeah, that was luckily really for me that, I got a team pretty much straight away. But I know some of the girls went a full season without getting any, getting a club and stuff. And I didn't have a mortgage, or I didn't really have any outgoings then, luckily. So yeah, I could afford to just get up and move, really.
I suppose credit to Liverpool, because I suppose they took you whilst you were still injured. Yeah,
I know. I am very grateful to them for taking that chance on me, really. But I think part of the issue is I don't think they understood the injuries, was as severe as what it was. And when I signed, I think we were in some kind of spring series. The league had changed from a winter league to a summer league, so there was that transition, and none of the physios or the S&C coaches and stuff at Liverpool had ever dealt with an injury like mine before. So that was quite a daunting experience for me, because they didn't know and they weren't expecting to have to deal with a player coming back from something like that. I say luckily, but Danny Ings, he was at Liverpool at the time, and he had the exact same thing as me. And not many people have had that injury, I don't think, in football. It either happens, from impact, or it happens over time. And he was coming back from exactly the same thing. So that was really good. And he was a lot further on than what I was. And, I'd chat to him about his experiences, and, and I suppose look at him now, he's
banging him.
Yeah. So that was, that was, but when I could go to Melwood, and when I was allowed to see the men's physios and use their facilities and stuff, that helped. But I mean, that wasn't very often, really. So I think initially when they signed me, I think because Casey was at Liverpool at the time, and I think she was getting ready to, retire and finish. So they brought me in to sort of,
fill her boots.
Then Casey was a little bit fuming because it was taking longer than I thought, and she'd planned her retirement, and I was like, no, you can't. And I think, the staff, I think as well, probably didn't expect it to be as long as what it was, and neither did I, to be honest. I think the thing with long-term injuries is it's so unpredictable, and they give you a time frame, but you can never really trust that, because you don't know how your body will react to certain things, and little setbacks are going to happen along the way. And it took me a while to actually get back to be honest, I don't think I've actually got back to myself since this last season. And I had the op in 2016, so 3 or 4 years later, I think I actually feel now, back to my best, to be honest.
You must have so much mental toughness to go through all that, though, like be injured for that amount of time, thinking that you're okay again and then back out joining a new club. Like, that takes a lot of mental strength. Yeah,
I think now when I look back on it, I don't know how I did it. I couldn't drive for, I think it was like 10 weeks and stuff. And at the time, like when I look back, I don't know how I did it, but at the time you set yourself little goals, and I was like, right, 8 weeks and then I'm off crutches, then I can go on the bike. And this, it didn't seem like, right, 12 months is the target. It was like, little goals along the way, which I think helped. But I was on this this machine, hardest thing actually. I was on this, it was like a bending machine. I think it's called CPM machine or something.
That's a Cybex machine, isn't it?
You strap your leg into it.
Oh.
Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. That's horrible.
I know, and you just like laid there with your leg strapped in, and it bends and straightens your leg for you. It's meant to like smooth the repairing blood out. It makes your bone bleed, so then it's got to soften it out to make new cartilage. But the surgeon told me to be on it for 8 hours a day for 8 weeks. I know. Wow. I know, and that was horrendous, to be honest. That was so. I went to a point where I was trying to sleep with it on, but that was quite difficult. But like
that's like a full day's work.
Yeah,
that's an 8 hour shift, 8 in the morning till like 4 in the afternoon. Wow.
No, it was crazy.
And did you do it for 8 hours every day for 8 weeks?
Sometimes, like mentally, I don't think I could have done it but I did do like at least 6 most days, to be honest. Sometimes I did do 8, but it was like, some days you just like, I just can't
sit there and do that. Yeah,
it's such an amount of time as well, isn't it?
And I think now when I look back on it, I'm like, how did I,
how did you do that?
Do it? I don't know. You just know
you do, don't you?
You just you just get on.
Did you do that at home or at the club?
A bit of both.
Right.
I felt it was strange being around, the team, and the manager was. I think he felt guilty for, maybe he took a bit of blame to, because it was him saying, she needs to play. The sort of situations was overriding the physio a little bit. And I think he felt guilty, and he sort of avoided me at all costs, to be honest. But it was just strange, and being around the team, and no one knows quite what to say to you, do they? And it was still quite early on then. I'd swap my time, but I actually through which this was like a massive saving grace for me. So through England, they supplied physio at the IS in Sheffield, so the Institute of Sport in Sheffield. They gave me my own physio there, which was amazing. So I had access to the facilities at EIS, and like underwater treadmills and stuff like that, and that was amazing. So I spent probably most of my time there. And you'd see like all these like GB athletes, tennis players, weightlifters and boxers, and coming through, and they were used to, it was like individual athletes used to play individual sports. So they'd come in and just, get the session done on their own. And I don't know, because I was, when you're part of a team, you're so used to being around loads of people and have, going to the gym with your team, training with the team. And that team environment was something that I really missed initially. But then I went to EIS and all these athletes were just used to, being on their own. There's no one there to sort of pick them up or, provide them with motivation. I took a lot from that. I'd see just people on the watt bikes just going for it. These amazing athletes, just for themselves, just because they knew they had to do it. So yeah, I think I took quite a bit from that experience.
That's like just a single sense mentality, isn't it? Of a unique athletes. I mean, it's exactly what you said. The fact that you're in a team, you rely on your teammates, but those guys, it's either win or lose from.
Yeah.
And that's to get something out of that. It's I think it's
such an isolating experience, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing worse. I mean, I snapped my Achilles. I was out for 8 months, and there's nothing worse seeing your teammates playing, and you're sat in the medical room. But then you look at the elite athletes who are on their own, and whether they're injured or they're just coming back, or the mentality you have to have, can break people. And you've done so well getting back from that, so well.
And they were like top athletes at their sport. So they were just pushing their bodies, and you do that obviously as a footballer, but it's different. And it was really, and they, a lot of those athletes then were probably, had full-time jobs, and, a lot of those sports probably weren't full-time and stuff then. So I was just like, it brought me back down to just see a different side of it. And that motivated me a lot as well.
The next step in your career is the reason we're all here. Manchester United.
Yeah.
Also fun because you've moved from Liverpool, which I know Casey did too, and lots of other people did too, because that's the club was set up. But what was that like for you, and when did you first hear about the opportunity, or even that Manchester United was setting up a team? Because I guess that in itself would have been positive news in the women's game.
Yeah, definitely. And at the time, I heard, so before I got approached at the time, I heard rumours that, Man United was starting a team, and it was like everyone was talking about it, and there was so many questions, so many rumours about, what it's going to be like. And there was a massive buzz around it. And at the time, I knew I wanted to leave Liverpool, and, it just didn't feel right. My experiences there was very mixed and stuff. So I knew I wanted to leave. And I was actually due to get on a train to London to go and sign and speak to a team. And then Casey just randomly texted me out of nowhere and said, do you want to meet for a coffee? I've got, a proposition for you. And I didn't know Casey was linked with the job at the time. It was really early on, so nothing had been said. And me and Casey, we got on before so it wasn't out of the ordinary for her to ask to go for a coffee. So I met up with her, and I was just sold there. And then it was strange because I'd never even considered, coming to United playing. I didn't know, how it was going to be. And she told me, the aspirations of the club and, the direction of where things were going, her plans, the people she wanted to bring in. And I was just, I was absolutely blown away. And I said to her, I remember saying to her, because it was a difficult decision, and she was like, look, we're going into the Championship, to build it up and to do it properly and stuff. And I knew that year needed to be massive for me from, everything I'd been through at Notts County. I still had, ambitions of getting back into the England squad. I needed a big year. And I said to her, like, I have this option. it's WSL 1 team. What I said to her, what would you do if you were me, my age, what I've been through and stuff. And I trusted her opinion. Who was
the other team?
I know you keep saying the other team.
Yeah.
Maybe.
What colour do they play in?
Well, I've said it's in London, so that might not be too hard if I said the colour. But yeah, it was. Maybe I'll just keep that under wraps for now. But yeah, I just said to her, like, what would you do? And I trusted her opinion. She's always been, a bit of a mentor to me in my career. And she said, I would do this, I would forget anything else you have. Like, this is going to be massive. This is what you need. Get a year of playing under your belt. She said, we're not going to be a championship team, fighting for, to win the league. We're going to be a WSL 1 team. And those are the standards that we're going to set in training. Those are the standards that I expect from you all, that, we're preparing for WSL 1 football and we're preparing to be successful in WSL 1. And yeah, it was that easy, really. I spoke to my agent pretty much straight after, and I was like, cancel the ticket tomorrow. Like, going like, this is what I want to do. I suppose it was a bit of a leap of faith at the time, dropping down a league and playing at that level. But it was the right decision, and yeah, I'm so glad I came.
Did you ever feel anxious, Amy, that you'd not had a long period of playing injury free? Was that a worry for you, or was that a worry for Casey?
I don't think so. Casey said, we have access to, all the best medical, that in the medical side of it. She said the men's team are heavily involved. The club's invested in the women's team as a whole. So it's not going to be like Liverpool in that sense. She's like, the club is buying into this, and anything you need, we're going to make sure you get it. And I think me going to Liverpool and the stuff that happened at Liverpool, maybe in a way opened that door to United, because Casey was at Liverpool at the time. She's seen how hard I was working to get back. I think she saw, glimpses of the old player that I was, and, the fight that I had, and, I was determined. I never thought that I wouldn't get back. I never, even considered, going back into teaching. Or I just knew that I would get back, and I would get back to my best. And I tried to stay quite positive throughout it all. And I got on with Casey as a person. She knows what I'm like off the pitch. And I knew I needed a good year, and we had a really good year last, in the championship. I got my confidence back up. Casey's style of coaching was something that I'd never experienced before, and attention to detail and a focus on the back four, and that became the foundation of the team. In the first year, if we could keep clean sheets, then we'd have a really good chance of winning the game and stuff. And I just evolved, I suppose.
One thing we shouldn't ignore is that you made your debut in a 1-0 win over Liverpool. That must have been nice.
Oh yes, that was really nice. And that day was just incredible. It was away as well, wasn't it, in the cup? We really set a mark out that day, and I think we scored late on, didn't we? So it was quite an intense. It was really good.
What was it like being part of a newly set up team? Like, the girls must have been so excited by that.
Yeah, it was surreal. You had such a mix of people coming together, youngsters with, amazing potential, players that just needed like myself, that just needed a chance. You know, and yeah, it was crazy. And we'd come from, you know, there's a lot of varying experiences within the team, but I think Casey recruited a team that she felt would get on off the pitch as well. So we had, you know, even from the start, Casey drilled into us the values and the culture she wanted to create off the pitch, and we all bought into it. And yeah, it was crazy to think we went into training and it was just, yeah, it was unlike anything I'd been a part of before. And there was a real excitement around the place, and and a lot of that has stayed and has grown, and you know, we've developed a lot as the team since that first year. But I think the foundations will always remain, you know, the same for the team.
And of course, now you're vice captain. What's that responsibility like?
Yeah, I suppose it's as vice captain, you support the captain in what they need, and you know, I think me and Zell have a good relationship. You know, we're quite different people. You know, she's, you know, a very confident person. You know, she's very straight to the point in how she, you know, speaks and her leadership style. And you know, I think she trusts me. She asked me for, you know, what my opinion on things, and you know, I think for her to take on that responsibility at such a young age was a big ask, but it's one that she's, you know, absolutely taken in a stride. And you know, I think she made a great captain last year, and I think she'll continue to, you know, to lead in that respect. But yeah, I don't think I've changed really on anything that I do being vice captain. You know, I'm probably one of the older members of the team, so I have that responsibility anyway.
Do you look at yourself now being a senior pro?
Yeah, unfortunately. Like, like we were at the beginning when I first signed, everyone thought I was like really young. And like I said, now, like I'm 28, like I'm quite old. They'd be like, 28? Oh my God, you're so old.
Made you feel great then.
Yeah. You know, like working it out, like, so you were like 10 when I was born, you know, like stuff like
that. That's what you want.
But yeah, it is strange because I missed the middle bit out. So I went like, was like a younger, like one of the younger players, and then it's just suddenly like I went from that to being like one of the old.
So you probably don't feel like a senior member in that way. That's what I was going to say to you.
Yeah, and because we've got such a young team as well. You know, I think the first year anyway, the average age was like 20 or something, which was funny. But yeah, they think I live a very boring life sometimes, I think, to be honest. Do
you like that responsibility though?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I've not really changed in anything. Like they come to me with a lot, to be honest, with different things, and yeah, it's quite nice. I do like it. I think, well, in my first year, so Lauren LJ was doing a functional skills, maths and English, and she was struggling a bit with it. So I started doing lessons with her. So we'd do like after training, we'd go through, you know, bite size, and we'd do a bit of, you know, GCSE maths and stuff like that. And everyone was like, oh my God, you're so old. You know, like, I don't know.
So old.
So old at 28.
That's the teacher in you coming out too.
What year did you teach when you were teaching?
How old was that? Oh, the age group.
No, as in the age group. Yeah.
I did post 16.
Okay.
Now I think it's post 14 now. So older kids. I did a bit of supply in secondary schools, which is when I tell the girls that I used to be a supply teacher, they're always like, oh God, I would have locked you in the cupboard. Like I would have. And I'm like, oh great. Like, just nice. Like they were like, we wouldn't have done any work for you. I'm like, right, well, good job.
Yeah,
Then.
that's brilliant.
I'm sure it's quite a drastic change, but if you can sum up how much women's football has changed since you were first involved, that's probably not even something that you can sum up. It's changed that much.
Yeah, it's obviously grown massively, and I think the biggest thing now, so like young girls, like me at 8, or like young girls now can actually think, I can stay in England, I can make it pro. Now I can play for Manchester United, which I think is massive. I think my generation of players, you just watch men's football. I just used to watch Sheffield United, and not, like, obviously I knew I couldn't play for them. But now, girls can come to our games, and they can see the pathway of, careers in women's sport and women's football. And I think it'll only continue to grow.
Bigger, yeah.
I wish I was, maybe 5 years younger, 10 years younger, just coming into the game now and having, these experiences, girls even in our team at, 18, 20 years old have experienced so much already, and, they've got such a bright future ahead of them. And it's an exciting time to be a part of women's football, and hopefully it continues to grow and develop.
What advice would you give? What advice would you give to any young girls watching the podcast? Because this goes out to obviously billions.
Maybe not billions. Maybe.
Yeah,
well,
pretty sure there are billions.
Well, maybe about 700 million United fans around the world. What advice? Because obviously, like you said, you got rejected early, and you thought, your coach at the time actually said you wasn't good enough. What advice any young girls, watching this now, would you give?
I think, that self-belief is really important. And I think generally, if you do make it as a pro, it's not always going to be easy. It's, there are going to be, setbacks and things that happen throughout your career that you're going to find tough. And I suppose that's quite a harsh reality of it, but everything is so worth it in the end. You get to play, a sport that you love, you get paid for it. You get to make people happy, you win a game, and, all these people are just so happy with, being a role model. And there's so many, for all the negative things and for all the setbacks and hardships and stuff like that, there's so much positives. And to just, you'll experience things that you would never experience in any other, way of life and stuff. And I think enjoy it as well. I think I was quite focused on, I need to do this and this needs to happen for me to be happy. Maybe in some parts I didn't actually enjoy it while it was happening. It's a great experience to look back on now. But at the time, I maybe wish I would have enjoyed it more. That's something that I'm taking into my late years.
Make sure you do, because it goes like that. Yeah, it does. No. And I think obviously when I were playing, you would always look to the next game and look to the next game and look to the next, and you don't really take in what you've done, whether you've won the league or the FA Cup or whatever it is you've won. You just take it for granted, and you think, right, we'll just move on.
Yeah.
So enjoy it, because I tell you what, you're a long time out of it. You are. So enjoy it, mate.
Exactly.
1 minute you're playing FA Cup finals, the next you're running around your house because someone's making too much noise doing your gate. The life of David May. Yeah.
What's your plans, Amy, for getting back training next season? What's the plans for the league?
So we had quite a successful campaign last year. I think 4th was probably realistic, in our first season in the Super League. But I feel like as a team we have so much more to give. There's, when you look at the games we drop points, we in the majority of the games where we played against, the big three and, City, Arsenal and Chelsea, we weren't that far off. And, that was the disappointing thing, I think, for us, was that we competed, but we couldn't convert that performance into, results, which I think is the next stage. I think there's going to be a real emphasis on developing that winning mentality now. We're not just a team that's newly promoted. We don't just want to put on a fight, a good performance, and they worked hard and but they didn't get the result. We don't want to be that team anymore. We want to be the team that does get results consistently, throughout the season. And I think if we do that, we'll have a real chance. We're really excited to get back in and get back to work and and start some kind of normality again, I suppose.
Amy, do you ever feel that pressure when you do play, that because now you're playing for Manchester United, everybody wants to beat Manchester United?
Yeah, I mean, that's been something that I've not really experienced before in my career. But, Casey said at the start, this is something that you're going to have to get used to. People want to beat you. And that's, I suppose, because we're new and stuff as well, it's, they're like, oh, it's a young team. It's, they've got all this funding. They've got all, like, people don't like that our fans sing and stuff. So it's like, just like things that and reasons why everyone wants to get a result against us. But I think that sort of pressure we try and thrive off. We're the only ones that know what happens in the dressing room and how we train and our team spirit, I suppose. And we try and use it to our advantage and and use it to go out there and give us that extra edge, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I love being hated. I loved it. I loved everyone hating us.
Did you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Loved it.
Not all those billions of people.
No, every away ground, that everybody hates United. Everybody hates United. And that's the best thing about playing for United. Everybody hates you.
And it makes the win more, more...
Definitely.
Amy, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for chatting with us. I have got one last question, though. Who of your teammates would you think would make an excellent guest on the podcast?
Oh, do I have to just pick one?
You can name it. You can name as many as you like. We'll try and get them all.
I think Millie would be quite a good one.
Get all the Turners on.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to stick little sister, Millie Turner. She would have some interesting stuff to say. She's got some... she's one of a kind, that girl, to be honest. She's like a little excitable puppy.
Who are the characters? Who are the loud ones, the cheeky ones? Give us a rundown.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you hopefully I don't offend anyone. And
no.
It's okay, it can always be edited.
Yeah. Tell me that now.
Yeah.
Katie Zellum is she's unlike anyone I've met before. She's just says it how it is, especially when it comes to like fashion. Like if she sees someone wearing something a bit dodgy, she'll just be like, what are you wearing? Like, did you think that was a good idea to wear something like that? And I say to her all the time, you can't say that. Like, that's like our relationship for, like Captain and Vice. Like, she says something and I'm like, Zell, no, you can't say that. Like, oh, but they don't mind. I'm like, and then they go and change the trousers or something.
Love it.
Yeah, so she's very straight to the point. Lauren James is, she's a character. She's a typical London kid. Like comes out with all these. I mean, maybe I'm just going to sound really old now, but like the phrases and stuff she comes out with.
Yeah.
No, I
Probably
don't.
slang.
No.
Yeah.
You have a conversation with you, and it's like, you don't get anything that what she said.
Basically, she's cooler.
Yeah, she's so cool. I think it's so laid back. It's
Who's the funniest?
joke funniest. Ella Toons, she's funny. Her and Millie Turner together, they're just a double act. I think. And they're always like so competitive with each other. They just wind each other up all the time. Like it's them two are funny. Martha, she's I've got to put her in that category. She's one of my good friends from the Lincoln days. We've always we've got on over the years, and she's funny in her own little way.
What about worst trainer?
I don't think we have. I mean, worst trainer for losing. I don't know. There's too many moaners and like acting like we've got referees and linesmen, like and at Casey, like that didn't go out like that. Like everybody works hard, but that we're so competitive as a team that everybody hates losing, and we have like a winning team picture. If you win, and you can just see the other team just like stood there like, oh, I hope it's a blurry picture. I hope you would think.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Amy, thank you so much.
We'll try and get them all on. Yeah.
Yes, we will. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Lovely to have you as the first member of our women's team, and we hope that there is many, many more. And good luck when you go back to training. Did you say you go back on Monday?
Yeah, Monday. Yeah, so lots of running and stuff.
Get the legs ready.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much
Amy.
for talking to us.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
Yeah.